Good afternoon and welcome to the desk, ladies and gentlemen. My name's F. Joined here by Adonis. We're going to get into some European action today. A lot of teams coming down to the end of the season. Some teams competing for DreamHack, other teams trying to stay afloat.
Let's take a look at the standings right now at the top still. We have 2 secured for DreamHack, Panthera and Paradigm, and those are locked in for their seedings as well. Hungry for More and Cringe Crew still in the running. And CC, they have a very critical match here at the end of the day. They're going to be facing off against the world champions Panthera, and while they don't need to win any games to stay in the running, they really want to at least take a single game so their destiny's in their own hands moving forward.
Exactly. Cringe Crew would have to depend on some other players and some other teams. You'd rather not have to cross your fingers and actually play the game.
And CC has they beat Panthera. That was the Panthera's first loss of the split. It is a possibility that it could happen. It's going to be a very tall task, though.
Different story for teams like Fnatic and their opponent today, Dignitas. Dignitas now staying in the middle of the pack, not really in the running for DreamHack, but still want to stay relevant. Fnatic, on the other hand, they're going to be facing relegation. They're going to be down there dealing with some of the teams coming in. So they're playing around and they're trying to figure out what's going to make their team succeed.
Now, Fnatic can still avoid relegations, but the likelihood is like 1%. They need to force a 3-way tie, including 2 wins here against Dignitas. It's going to be a little bit rough. They also have some roster changes once again. Still, switching it up. Again, just like I think they have the longest list of players that have played for a team this split.
Pretty much. I mean, 3 weeks ago, we saw Fnatic go ahead and pretty much just turn into the Myrmidons plus Zyrhoes, right?
Yeah.
Last week, give or take here or there. This time around, Real's still not back. maniaKK's going to be playing in the Hunter position. They're bringing in nulisa into the mid lane. She's been around the pro scene a while and even made a showing at the Combine under the name Squiddo. And Zyrhoes is going to move over to the solo lane. So a little bit of dancing, a little bit of moving here and there. nulisa's the only player that's new coming into the roster, but everybody in different spots. It's going to be fun.
We're going to be getting into the match here shortly, and Fnatic, they are just like Envy, they are just kind of very disappointing. Everyone was considering, right, okay, it's going to be Panthera, Paradigm, probably the top 2, which has proven to be so, but it's like Fnatic, they switched up a couple members. BigManTingz, I think, has performed pretty well overall, all things, good and well. And then Jifffy was kind of this superstar jungler from Ranked that hadn't played in the competitive scene, coming off of his 1-year ban from the scene, and everyone's like, this guy is going to make Fnatic a top team, but wasn't there, and now sitting at the bottom of the standings.
You will see how the team changes around with nulisa on board and other people shifting different spots and shifting different places. Fnatic's not going to DreamHack, but you certainly can. DreamHack.se, and you can pick up your own tickets right there. It's going to be 9 teams, 3 of which from North America, 3 from EU.
And Paladin's Founders Tournament's going to be there as well. And if you want to rock some Smite gear as well, there's a sale going on right now, livebnfd.com, and you can get some awesome Smite clothes. I believe it's up to 75% off on some of the stuff.
Yeah, 75% off. This stuff is virtually free, so pick up your own stuff today. As we get into picks and bans, it's going to be Fnatic versus Dignitas. Let's check it out.
Jifffy takes to this guy, Fnatic, they're just going to be focusing on the Phoenix as Jifffy rains terror in the backline, double tap. He's going to be able to get up for now, but a big snipe coming through. Zyrhoes finds 3 are over the top.
Pushing him forward though. Oh no, and Reels from the sky. Only does work here as Reels dives into the backline.
Team Dignitas on the left will have the first pick, so Fnatic with the new player on their roster won't have the option. A lot of times we see teams kind of opt for that first pick if they can to allow the comfort level to come through.
I expect nulisa to be on something relatively safe, especially considering this is her first game into the SPL.
Kronos or Janus is really the godful that she showed off at the Combine, and some of the stuff just behind the scenes as well as far as her inclusion. Keep in mind, she was also a substitute for some of the high-end teams. Epsilon, actually,
last year. Susano going to be banned away by Fnatic here. Dignitas, they're going to just target out some fan favorites there. Guan Yu taken away. Yeah. What's interesting for Fnatic here is going to be Zyrhoes in the soul lane as well, because I mean, maniaKK is still playing, right? So why would you not put maniaKK there? Why would you not put, Zyrhoes over into that Hunter role? And he's shown to be able to play multiple gods, right? He's played Thanatos mid, and despite kind of it recently, I believe he played it on LAN as well. Yeah. He has this very deep god pool, but instead he's going to be playing solo lane, so maybe some switch-ups for the future on Fnatic.
Thinking about that, actually, now that you say that, the deep god pool kind of gives you... Solo lane is more about god pool, right? And then the hunter roles, there's a lot of duels, there's a lot of fighting. I mean, that's what maniaK likes to do, right?
That's true.
So maybe it might work out. We'll take a look as Khepri is the first selection for Team Dignitas.
Fnatic looking to respond here. Najah taken away from Jifffy. We have seen him default to Thor, however, that hasn't really been... honestly, it hasn't been very successful for Fnatic. I'd be interested in seeing if Fnatic want to grab Athena as well very early on. Instead, they're going to give Anhur over to maniaK.
And like we were saying, maniaK likes to fight. Anhur's the fighter. At very least, that's the hunter that wants to jump in and tell you to the wall.
Just go.
I love what Dignitas does here. Janus will be selected for nulisa, so we'll get to see some of that in the mid lane. Dignitas just dared Fnatic. They're like, does Jifffy have an Ao Kuang? Do it.
I mean, maybe. I mean,
It would have been picked now, right?
Yeah, Dignitas looking to respond here, and it's going to be iRens on the Hou-Yi, a god he is very comfortable with outside of the Anhur. Anhur has actually been Rins' bread and butter, and I think now thinking about it, this Anhur keeping it away from iRens was probably the look they were going for, and it is going to be Thor coming out from Team Dignitas, so a lot of team fighting potential right now.
Yeah, some of the semi-global support from the Thor as well as Khepri just being able to bail anybody out of trouble is definitely a good look. Fnatic can round out the second half of their picks with Awilix, so certainly a lot of play there for Jifffy. I like that pick.
They could Fnatic could look for Geb, although Geb has fallen off significantly since the beginning of the split. Players and teams not really wanting to run him, a little bit risky on the rotations, and not a lot of lane pressure. But that is something that Dig could look to ban away if they don't want that Awilix knock-up combo.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of the gods with these aggressive initiations, right? The Geb and the Sylvanas have to blink and then all in. You use your ultimate. The Athena with the taunt, the Khepri with the abduct. We're seeing more frequent initiations and more frequent skirmishes.
Sylvanas banned away. You could see, I think this is Sylvanas' first ban, actually. Picked up less than a handful of times this split.
So if Dignitas know that Zyrhoes is playing in the solo lane, and they know
Zyrhoes would run Sylvanas solo.
likes jank. And they probably know his jank picks better than we do. We've seen Ataraxia preach Sylvanas solo, so maybe Dignitas taking something out of Zyrhoes' playbook. Fnatic at one pick now.
Yeah, and that's just it's just the support bans that all have knockups outside of Bacchus, who's going to be locked in. So a little bit of synergy between Awilix and Bacchus there. And it was Ra and Zeus banned by Fnatic. So just targeting out those high damage mages. Don't want Dig to feel comfortable at all.
Yeah, ShadowNightmare works very well in a god like Ra, just those repeated searing pains coming out. Poseidon, going to be the same idea. Just give ShadowNightmare a god that he can hard carry on, delete people from 100 to 0, and see what happens. Different story for Ravana, who's trying to just pester you down.
I actually really like the Poseidon pick just because of the cripple on Whirlpool. You look at Fnatic's composition, and it's actually their movement abilities that are most strong for them, right? Janus with the portal, able to get him and his team in and out of situations. Awilix is, in a lot of situations, going to want to jump on you. Or if she goes very deep, she can typically jump on Suku and then leap away, but now she'll be crippled, can't do that. Bacchus wants to initiate with the jump, and just throwing that Whirlpool just stops him in his tracks.
Yeah, Poseidon's one of the best counters to Janus, I feel, just stopping him from going through that portal. Bellona, a very standard pick coming into likely the solo lane. For Zyrhoes today, again, maniaK is available, but he'll be playing over in the hunter role.
And the Fnatic lineup is going to be rounded out here, and we're going to be heading into the game one of Dignitas versus Fnatic.
Khepri on top of him and the chase down. ShadowNightmare finds the kill!
Absolutely brilliant.
There's the Athena ult. Real's ult should help secure this unless Athena actually... The ult lands just in time for Suntouch to intercept. Gold Fury runs his here. Let's watch him. Dignitas get the Gold Fury off that engagement.
Here's nulisa making her SPL debut. As we said earlier, she was a substitute for Epsilon. Previously Epsilon, the team now known as Panthera. Nulisa sat on the bench for them all of last season, but now finally getting her starting role here on Fnatic, at least for this week. As we said, they pretty much have a lazy Susan worth of players.
And yeah, Fnatic right now, They need both wins here against Dignitas to potentially force a three-way tiebreaker. Otherwise, they're going to be relegated. Dignitas as well could be another team that's in one of those three-way tiebreakers for relegations, although incredibly unlikely as well. So they want to make sure they find at least one here to guarantee themselves up. And also, you got to talk about the money too, right? Like,
of course.
You want to finish higher in the standings.
It's always about the Benjamins, but yeah, I mean, really for Fnatic, just look forward to the next split. There's a lot of directions this roster can go in. nulisa, obviously one of them. You saw the Myrmidons come in as well. So Dardes and Jermaine and Tins definitely on the table as well. Fnatic this just seems to be like audition week, right? Just the past couple of weeks have been all auditions. How do you do? And maybe you'll wind up wearing black and yellow.
And right hand side, the Fire Elemental's actually going to be pressured by Fnatic here. You see Dignitas were the first to get there. I believe they got all of them soaked up. TheDarkDodo in a little bit of trouble. He's actually going to be routed behind his way. Oh, wow. He actually lost a significant amount of XP and gold there going into those Fire Elementals.
Yeah, rough rotation for TheDarkDodo, especially on the Ravana character that kind of wants to be ahead. What character doesn't want to be ahead? But
every solo laner wants to be ahead.
But the Ravana particularly, Bellona can provide some other stuff. Ravana just wants to fight you.
The good thing for Dodo, though, is that Jifffy soaked up, I believe, 2 entire waves, which means that potential lead for Zyrhoes is going to be negated for the most part. nulisa getting a good amount of solo farm in the mid here, and now the 2v2 starts. Quick portal and some poke onto ShadowNightmare, but no follow-up from Jifffy.
You know, interesting start coming out here from ShadowNightmare. Definitely something that we're not used to seeing. Aggression in the long lane is the jump on jump. Beautiful impale from maniaKK, or at least jump, to shake off the abduct.
And the ricochet just going to be off the mark, and that was actually a really good play by maniaKK, because if iRens had been able to line up that ricochet on the player close to the wall, or I believe it was Bacchus, it was BigManTingz plucked out by Suntouch, that double bounce could have killed him.
Even without the double bounce, I think that BigManTingz was in a really bad spot, likely to die in that abduct, and just a knock-up coming out from the jump out of Anhur, enough to interrupt and continue on. Bacchus will have to jump away, however.
And also burns all his potions. Suntouch here going to be out of potions as well. So still lane advantage over to Dignitas early on, but no team really looking to force anything with the junglers. It's kind of just been poke in individual lanes for now. And honestly, I think this benefits Dignitas. They really want to focus on the global rotations. They have the Thor. They're just looking to set up something probably in the dual lane. And anytime someone's poked out, it's a win for them.
Jifffy certainly looking at the dual lane. Shows up a little bit early. Does have the pathing behind the players. He's going to jump on in, find Suntouch. Just a little bit of poke. There's the pull, and the beads are late, but it's good enough to stop Bacchus, so no kill.
iRens there, surprisingly jumping away against an Awilix, and Jifffy returns the favor there, pulls him in, gets the purification, which is a win, honestly. The 160 seconds versus the 90-second cooldown coming out of Gravity Surge, and Jiffy's going to be able to at least take another trip over to this dual lane before that CC immunity comes up again.
FrostiaK now in the mid lane with ShadowNightmare. And again, the start for ShadowNightmare is pretty interesting. Just starting with the sash right here, trying to build into likely a Warlock sash early on.
So this is actually recently buffed item in the last patch. Golden Sash got a 50 cost reduction, which means before, when you bought that tier 2 of Warlocks or the tier 2 of Gym or whatever you're looking for, you had to only come to lane with 2 potions. Now you can come with 3, so it makes it much more appealing to want to go it early instead of looking to get your boots into the Warlocks later.
And as you said, there's 2 different options for this player to go. We can see the Warlock Sash will allow the Poseidon to have decent amount of power, but more importantly, a lot of health, make him a little bit more robust and tanky. And then the Gem of Isolation, which also does provide health, more importantly, will make these whirlpools just impossible to deal with and pretty much hard CC at that
honestly,
point.
Both work. It kind of depends on what Shadow's looking to do. If he's looking to set up for his team, the Gem of ISO is definitely the win here, but that's a very expensive item for not a ton of power early on. You're really sacrificing a strong power curve for that, so most players I don't imagine are looking for that.
Yeah, I think if we see the rush into the item, it's the Sash, but if Boots come up next and he saves that item for a little bit later, we'll likely see it turn into a Gem of Isolation, but we'll certainly keep our eye on ShadowNightmare and see which direction he goes.
And just farming across the map right now. FrostiaK going to hit level 7. He's still Thor, so could look for the global rotations. Most of Fnatic have backed, so they're coming back to lanes with wards. So FrostiaK, excuse me, lost kind of that surprise opportunity where players will, their first set of wards run out there before their first trip back to the base, but the Sentry battle comes out.
It will be the Warlock Sash coming out for the mid
That's what I
laner.
figured.
Exactly, just early stacking. Before 5 minutes, able to start getting those stacks. 100 stacks required. So
Suntouch actually sneaking around behind Fnatic here.
this is a good play if Thor can get in the air. BigManTingz going to be grabbed right into the Kraken. Half HP for the Bacchus, even less after the follow-up. But FrostiaK not going to combine. No ultimate out of the Thor, so not a big deal. But now the return damage from Fnatic, pretty decent. Suntouch poked all the way down to 10%.
Quick meditation, though, by Suntouch is going to make sure Dignitas is not in too much trouble there. And that's the one thing about Warlock Sash, right? You have it online, but it's very low power early on. That's why you see players go to this usually the matchup. Not only they're cheaper, but it's a good amount of power, and also the penetration. That Kraken simply just tickled Bacchus was the big problem in that situation.
No real aggression coming out from nulisa there. Maybe a little timid to pull the
Oh,
trigger.
the
There's the
knock-up.
knock up, the pull. And Jifffy, beautiful execution. First blood going the way of the Fnatic
The long-range
jungler.
knock-up was just absolutely perfect. TheDarkDodo not respecting it. Or honestly, I don't think he thought Jifffy would hit it. I don't think he thought Jifffy was going to be able to kind of find that mark there. Still, max range hits him in the pool and the first blood to Fnatic.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if he knew Jifffy was there. There was just a lot going on there. A lot going on in the long lane as well. maniaKK going to chase down iRens. About 50% accuracy on the ultimate. Needs to find the basic.
Soloed.
And there it is. Fnatic started the game off hot. 2 kills.
I mean, I was talking about how maniaKK, being out of that solo lane role was interesting. That why would he not just kind of go to his bread and butter? But outplaying Rins here in this dual lane, and Fnatic are looking pretty good right now.
Let him fight. Let him fight. maniaKK is the fighter, especially with an Anhur in his hands, Kevin. I mean, this is exactly what you want out of maniaKK. Just give him the opportunity to punch you in the face.
And the rotation over here to the fire elementals, and you can actually see ShadowNightmare just pinging out that for his team so no one gets caught there on the rotation. Dardo already found himself dead once, doesn't want his soul laner to die again.
Fnatic will also pick up the mid camps as well after the fire elementals. So a couple of quick kills and some good farming, and Dignitas find themselves down by about 1,000.
And I think they're fine with this for now. There's it's not too much of a loss. The problem's going to be if Fnatic start executing team fights more. Right now, it's simply been very small amount of picks, right? Jifffy rotates over to the soul lane.
Yep.
maniaKK 1v1s Rins in the duo, but now you can see Fnatic, they know they have a lead, and they're starting to group up. This is exactly what they need to do.
And Dignitas has proven throughout the season that they can team fight, that they're a unit. Dignitas going for the objective real quick. Half HP on the Gold Fury already. Janus ultimate comes through, and it's enough to keep Dignitas off. FrostiaK going to take to the sky, but it's defensive.
And I think he was debating going aggressive there, but Fnatic immediately pile on top of him. He was poked out to about half and then just forced to run away there. Couldn't really do much after that. ShadowNightmare going to be farming up, and I like the play from Dignitas. They recognize that Fnatic are going for their speed buff, that they're trying to invade, and honestly, that would have been a free Gold Fury had it not been for Janus being able to get all of Fnatic there. And I like Dignitas' respect as well. They don't, they don't risk taking the team fight. They don't try and burst it. They're just like, all right, guys, we tried this, we lost it.
maniaKK again going in, jump, but this time he's caught by the Khepri. But there's 3 players here. maniaKK gets credit for that off the assist of the jungle and the support.
And Rins there getting knocked up by Awilix. I'm not exactly sure what happened. Rins playing pretty sloppy today. Not only earlier on when he just jumped away from the Awilix who forced his purification, then gets 1v1'd by maniaKK close to his own tower, and then right there, the fight was over. He had lost Suntouch, and then still turns his back to the Awilix and gets knocked up and forced purification once again.
Certainly not on his game, not like we've seen. iRens has been an interesting character to watch throughout the season and throughout many seasons. He's got his ups and downs, and we recently saw very ups. I mean, we saw his Anhur dominate game almost by himself.
And I mean, even on the interview, like, well, Rins carried us. We're surprised about that. Rins can play at a high level. The problem right now, and all split, has simply been his consistency. It seems like some sets he'll show up, and other sets, at least at the start of this game, he's just, what is he doing?
I mean, maniaKK's definitely taken advantage of him, has a little bit of a lead over him as well, 400 gold.
Well, this is obviously a winning fight for Anhur early on, unless Rins can find kind of a ricochet bounce. Outside of that, there's shouldn't be much of a reason for Rins to fight, especially now, especially with this lead. Now he definitely can't fight.
And you can see the wards coming out. Rens wants to be a little bit more careful, as it seems Fnatic paying him a little bit more mind than he might like.
Camp the Rins. That's what they're saying. They're like, camp the Rins, man.
Well, they tried over. They got zero. They were looking for zeros, right? TheDarkDodo certainly not a good target.
Dodo is just getting bullied out a little bit here, but I mean, Robin's gonna, even though he got behind early, this is still a fine lane for him. You can see he's even inexperienced with Zyrhoes for the most part. Actually, I think has a slight advantage. You saw him very close to hitting level 12 there. Not exactly sure where Zyrhoes is out. The first defensive items are there. There's the CDR, Breastplate of Valor, coming out for Dodo, and Zyrhoes looking for kind of the anti-auto attacks with the hide.
Yeah, just going up against the hard physical protection. FrostiaK and Dodo won't be able to gank him as easily. ShadowNightmare and Suntouch.
This is a ton of pressure.
Less.
Look at this, too. I mean, Jifffy just putting a sentry, and he is just trying to set up. And look at this, the rotation coming in from BigManTingz and nulisa as well. But quickly, Rens, I mean, he's in his tier 2.
Mm-hmm.
He's having none of it. He's like, all right, guys, I got soloed, I got ganked, I'm done. Just leave me alone.
That's smart, just playing it safe. Sometimes you got to relinquish the lane pressure. That's exactly what he's doing here for maniaKK. ShadowNightmare, on the other hand, going to sit under his tower as well, but the Poseidon certainly a little bit more proficient at clearing the wave.
And Fnatic going to be trying to steal away the speed buff, but this could be an awkward fight for them with ShadowNightmare coming in behind.
And you can see the solo lanes making their rotation as well. Suntouch going to hide under the Kraken of his teammate. nulisa finds an ultimate that kills Suntouch, but the Khepri saves himself. There's the unstable vortex, not enough. And now FrostiaK going to land on top of everyone. Zyrhoes gets Suntouch, so that's another kill for Fnatic. maniaKK rotates as well. 5 in total unanswered kills going the way of Fnatic.
Somehow nulisa gets out of there, not exactly sure. The rotation coming in from Dodo, walking into 5, trying to find maniaKK. The nice title search over the wall, but it's not enough damage to finish off the Anhur, and ShadowNightmare just short of picking up a kill there at the end. And Dignitas, I mean, they're just playing incredibly sloppy right now. Full shoutouts to Jifffy, though, there in that at the beginning of the fight. The Kraken comes out, and he saves his Feather Step for the second the damage would have hit him.
Yep.
Completely negates all of ShadowNightmare's early presence in that fight, and then they just slowly whittle away, taking out a couple more players.
Yeah, nulisa makes sure to pop out the Khepri ultimate nice and early. Jifffy follows up with some of the follow-up damage, and then, like you said, beautiful Feather Step. That's the high skill ceiling application that Awilix can bring. It's so exciting to check out. And then, of course, the solo lane rotation, Zyrhoes winding up on the good side of those things as well.
I'm really worried about Dignitas' team comp right now because the problem is the lack of damage, right? Dodo, he's not going to burst anyone. He's just going to be this nuisance that's just constantly throwing out these slows, and he will whittle you down to death eventually, but it's not that burst. Thor as well, early game, yeah, powerhouse, huge double tap damage. Gone to the Jotuns as well, so going to be able to get that off a lot. But the later the game goes, the more that damage falls off, and then he transitions more to a setup character. Mm-hmm. He gets poke. He can kind of just be a distraction. And then ShadowNightmare, right? If he can't get damage off with the Kraken, whether it be Feather Step, whether it be Aegis, no matter what, I mean, where's the damage coming from this Dig lineup? It's got to be Rens, and he's already behind.
Exactly. ShadowNightmare and Rens are certainly the two carries that Dignitas are looking for in the matchup today. Fnatic, on the other hand, going to look right towards the gold tree. Dignitas, if they know, they don't want any part of it, but there's all red wards in the enemy jungle. Fnatic know exactly how far away the enemy is. 4,200 gold in the lead. Fnatic find themselves very quickly 13 minutes in.
And 6K experience as well. You can see a couple level lead across the board. The big one I'm looking at, though, is probably Jifffy right now. FrostiaK sitting at 0, 1, and 0 is 1,200 gold behind Jifffy right now, who's also 2 levels ahead of him.
Jifffy now looking to make a play onto iRens. You can see the ward vision coming out again. Fnatic paying so much attention to this left side. But now with the Gold Fury down, do you reckon they'll switch their attention over to the right side of the mid?
Fnatic? I mean,
yes.
Right now there's nothing to do on the map. You could see the speed buff's going to be spawning. That's what I imagine is going to happen next. Fnatic going to be grouping up, making sure FrostiaK continues to get behind and just forcing this Thor into bad spots, because right now Thor, who wants to be in the middle of a team fight, can't because he's so far behind, and Fnatic are doing a really good job of bursting him down anytime he's close.
maniaKK now focusing on the tower, halfway down already. Zyrhoes and TheDarkDodo are going to be fighting in the jungle. Zyrhoes with a little bit of a lead. iRens shows up to protect the tower, just barely, 10% or less on it. And here's the group up. Dignitas now, they've got the numbers advantage. It's like 2.5 on 1 before Fnatic made the rotation, but they're still afraid of Zyrhoes.
And you can see BigManTingz looking for the jump right now. He's going to be pulling the speed buff, trying to bait, but the team needs to be careful because the right-hand side, Zyrhoes is forced out. This could be a good fight for Dig.
And there's the Kraken on top of Jifffy. Can't find the portal early enough, but he's going to be far away. FrostiaK looking to catch up. Can't quite do it. nulisa blasts him in the face with the ultimate. The follow-up from the BigManTingz, and number 6 on the board. Dodo's going to get pulled, and there's the follow-up from the jungler.
And the rotation as well coming out. Big whirlpool for ShadowNightmare, stopping a lot of Fnatic's aggression, but they don't care. They're just going to run around it. And now the knockup comes through. Sanctuary going to save ShadowNightmare for it now. No Khepri ult available. maniaK's made the rotation, and Shadow, he's going to be pressured out.
Very important Sanctuary coming out there from the mid laner. That was a dead Poseidon if we didn't see him glow gold. So Fnatic cleanup kill on a FrostiaK, combining well with the team.
I believe they stole the speed as well, so they, once again, Fnatic are not only able to steal the speed, but they're going to steal the blue as well. They could have looked to group up and take that mid tower, but instead they split their forces, and they're just going to put BigManTingz on it.
You know, we're seeing a nice mix here, Adonis. I think we're seeing Dignitas definitely make a couple of mistakes and Fnatic take advantage, but we're also, I think that exchange was just good play from Fnatic. They even got chased out. Not having the Bellona ultimate there was a rough fight, but they were able to come out on top, and I think, honestly, it just had to do with the raw power of maniaKK and some of the other players.
I mean, this is also Bacchus, right? A level 13 Bacchus when Dignitas only have 2 players close to that in these fights, right? ShadowNightmare and Dodo. FrostiaK is behind a Bacchus. That is not good, especially because the Bacchus didn't even go into pin boots and still just falling.
Yeah. Look at the player damage, actually. Bacchus doing about 1,000 more than the Thor, Kevin.
I mean, the Khepri is doing more damage than the Thor. This simply cannot happen, right? If you're FrostiaK, because I also noticed he was leveling up the hammer, but he's still in these fights getting bursted out. Instead of trying to take these long-range fights where he's just hitting the double taps and then maybe going in, he's landing down, getting bursted, and then just running away in a lot of situations.
Yeah, building and really just geared towards these like ultra ganks, but we haven't seen really any. You can see 0 kills for Dignitas still just yet. Fnatic shutting them out 16 minutes. So this one's looking pretty rough for Dignitas so far, a little bit early, but I'm liking what I see out of Fnatic.
I am liking what I see out of Fnatic. I don't know if they're going to be able to translate this later into the game, but
Sure.
right now everything's kind of working. The team's working out as a unit. Honestly, Jifffy looks... I wonder if this is... Because I want to talk about like pressure you have on yourself, right?
Okay.
Coming in, Fnatic is the team that everyone expects to be the 3rd seed. Everyone expects them to be good. Nulisa here, in a little bit of trouble. Double tap, going to connect, and a nice pickup by FrostiaK.
Dignitas find themselves on the board. There it is, 1 kill on the mid laner. And I was actually going to bring that up. You know, so you were talking about pressure on Jifffy specifically. What is it, without reels, you think it's a little bit easier?
I think it's less about reels and more about the situation Fnatic's in, right? He just needs to play his game. If they lose, it doesn't matter, because they're almost guaranteed relegations. And maybe it is. Maybe it is less about that. He seems to have pretty good synergy right now with maniaKK. You can actually see, we've seen multiple times where Fnatic are looking to set up against iRens and Suntouch early.
And Jifffy and nulisa were working well in the middle lane as well, so maybe that mid lane synergy with nulisa or just someone that's not Zyrhoes might work out a little bit better. So many ifs, so many questions, but not too many towers. Dignitas lose their one over there on the left-hand side.
And that was simply a matter of time.
Oh, yeah.
There's so much ward vision on the left-hand side that maniaKK felt very confident in slowly kind of whittling that away, taking the 1v1s with iRens because he has such a massive lead. And then finally just picks it up 17 minutes in, like you said.
Zyrhoes now making the rotation. He's half HP already, and FrostiaK going to try and get him, but he jumps over the ultimate. Double tap, not good enough. Tanky Bellona.
maniaKK's here, and this is going to be Fnatic starting to make their moves as a power play. Before it was just the invade on the speed. Now it seems like they want to group up here and take towers. Gold Fury's available as well. Zyrhoes is going to be chasing out Dodo. Actually has a 2-level lead on him right now, and it's going to be Gold Fury started up, and I think this one's going to be conceded by Dig. They have to know what's going on, and they can't fight it at all.
Yeah, if iRens shows up, he's going to get jumped on and then killed. Fnatic go ahead and jump on the Gold Fury themselves, wind up with another objective very quickly. Almost 7,000 in the lead. And much different Fnatic.
They're looking really good right now. I don't know what it is, though. This could be both teams just kind of demoralized at the end of the split. I don't think we're seeing Dignitas play very well. We saw a ton of sloppy plays coming out of iRens in the laning phase. I think he's kind of quieted down ever since he got soloed, playing a much more respectful, like, I can't push up or I'm going to die.
maniaKK's been performing very well in the Anhur.
Funny enough, I'm really liking maniaKK and Zyrhoes in their new roles right now. I mean, Zyrhoes has just been a constant bully on Dodo ever since Dodo did get picked up for that first blood off of Jiffy's rotation. And since then, I mean, Zyrhoes, he just wants to fight, man.
And that's really what the deal is for these outside lanes on Fnatic, right? I mean, maniaKK and Zyrhoes have always been these fighters. I mean, maniaKK's a long-time duel player, right? Looking for that 1v1. Zyrhoes will just take it anytime it comes. And these players kind of fit in their new roles. I'm liking it.
And 19 minutes in here, Fnatic sitting very comfortably. Dignitas, I'm so worried about their damage because the later this game goes, the harder it's going to be for them to burst anyone. And the fact that Fnatic, you know, they're kind of hard to lock down. It's going to have to be Jifffy. It's going to be the squishiest character. If you can find that whirlpool under his feet, that's what you're looking at here. ShadowNightmare getting aggressed on in the mid, but FrostiaK finding some nice return damage, going to force Fnatic out.
Yeah, I love the play by FrostiaK. Not even looking for the kill, just looking for the disruption, chasing people off of his mid laner, so ShadowNightmare can back and come on back. You can see ShadowNightmare 0-0-1, arguably having the best game on Dignitas. Not a surprise to see that, but Fnatic take down another tier 1 tower just one-on-one. Jiffy's going to make the rotation as well. You can see FrostiaK get chased out by BigManTingz. The knockup is good onto Dodo. It's a 3-on-3 as Khepri makes the rotation, but nulisa's waiting in the back.
You can see ShadowNightmare rotating in as well for Fnatic here. Left-hand side, oh, maniaK's in a lot of trouble, has that mark on him, and he's going to get 1v1'd. And Ren's finding the return kill on maniaKK. That's very important for him and his team right now.
Yeah, that big play, not only just for the numbers, but also the momentum. Ren's got to feel himself a little bit after that one. Suntouch. Gonna feel the pain, dashing away, has a Khepri ultimate on him. Everybody now turning away. nulisa in some trouble, ulting out of the fight and the engagement. ShadowNightmare now gonna keep up, but Zero's gonna walk away.
And that's just Fnatic. I think they're gonna back off on this one. With Ren's rotating in, nulisa forced out. It's just a numbers advantage. Now Jifffy gonna be caught out, forced to purify, and now turning on to ShadowNightmare, who's very low. Zyrhoes under the tower, gonna hit the bludgeon, but FrostiaK's looking to respond.
And there's trouble for Zyrhoes. Sun's coming out, and there's BigManTingz stopping Dodo at his tracks. So the players protected by their support. BigManTingz just sitting here, making sure that Dignitas can't get any kills, but Dignitas still in the mid lane looking for the tower.
Jifffy waiting around the corner, needs to be careful. This is all 5 members of Dignitas grouped up. And here he comes, looking for Rens, actually forces his purification. Jifffy didn't even have ult.
And Jiffy's still on the side, trying to keep things going. Fnatic now defending their tower very well. FrostiaK fighting on the support, comes right on in. There's the ultimate out of Rens, and Zero's going to be dragged into it by Dodo. And iRens gets the kill onto Zyrhoes. Well played.
ShadowNightmare very low, and Jifffy in the middle needs to be careful. Rens comes up with a double kill here, and maniaKK going very hard, but a Sanctuary is going to keep Rens alive for now. maniaKK responds with his own double, 2 kills for both Hunters, and Rens looking for his 3rd.
Love the play coming out from both Hunters. maniaKK aggressive as always. Rens winds up with a triple. And nulisa's got an ult to get out of jail. Dignitas win the engagement 3-2, but they don't have the minions to take the tower just yet.
And despite being pretty far down, still getting the better of Fnatic in that engagement in the mid there, going their way for the most part. And it just, I think, comes down, looking at the damage charts, they were just hitting their abilities, and Fnatic kind of going in and out, and everyone was very split up, whereas Dig was fighting as a unit.
Yeah, Fnatic couldn't really find the hard commit, I think, that the Bacchus in their composition really dictates. You want to see the belly flop into some hard damage.
Oh, wow. Look at this chart for Rens. He does 4,000 of Dignitas' 9,000 damage.
That's intense.
That's incredible.
That
was
incredible.
A deserved. Sometimes, you know, you're like, oh, I'm going to take the last hit. Oh, okay, I'm going to take this last hit. Oh, look, I got a triple kill. But, I mean, Rens does half of the team's damage, and that's what I was talking about. Everyone on Dignitas, their damage falls off. Rens has to be the carry. And this is really good for him because he started off so rough. We saw so many misplays. But now, after signing that solo kill onto maniaKK, he's showing up.
I mean, as you said, the early game is supposed to go the way of Anhur. As the game gets later, he's a little bit more powerful, but not when there's 4 people on top of him. Zyrhoes finds the kill after the stun from the ultimate. Dodo's going to be here to defend, but Dignitas already lose their towers. All tier 1's gone for Dig.
And FrostiaK is chasing nulisa in the jungle, trying to lock her down here. She's going to portal herself, trying to get away, and FrostiaK locks down the kill.
I'm not sure if that was the right play, Adonis. I mean, he could have protected ShadowNightmare. I think protecting ShadowNightmare at this point in the game is probably a little bit more valuable than a kill onto the 0, 1, and 7 Janus.
Potentially here, Suntouch and Dodo going to try and stop the gold, but Zero's just zoning him out, and that's going to be the 3rd Gold Fury for Fnatic. So they find a return fight in the middle lane. They get the tower as well, and Dignitas, they had started to look good, but instantly answered back by Fnatic. 8,600 in the lead.
Yeah, this is a much different Fnatic than we're used to seeing. Complete turnaround, honestly. And, you know, maybe it's just a breath of fresh air that the players are having from switching roles up, but everybody seems to be a little bit more refreshed than we're used to seeing on the squad.
I mean, this is probably just no pressure situation for them. They're almost guaranteed relegations unless, you know, I think 4 different sets go their way, including having to 2-0 Dignitas here. So they're just playing their game right now. Zyrhoes switching it up, and sometimes that's the thing, too. it is very hard to swap roles.
Oh, yeah.
Bart, like, Zyrhoes is actually the only person I've ever seen be able to swap into a role and play at an incredibly high level that's expected of him, and that was when he went from jungle to mid. And he was already playing mages in the jungle, and very quickly he became a dominant player for Fnatic. However, there's also kind of, I just want to play a new role sometimes. It's just refreshing.
Yeah, that's really what it comes down to, is I think, you know, just having some fun and enjoying the game a little bit certainly puts you in a better spot. And switching things up. I mean, maniaK's been playing solo for how many years now, right?
3, something like that. I mean, he hasn't role swapped. There's been a lot of players who have role swapped over the years. maniaK is not one of them.
Yeah.
And now speed buff was already picked up by FrostiaK here, who has recovered quite nicely into this game. Level 17, BigManTingz way off the mark on Suntouch. You can see Jifffy was waiting around the corner to follow up, and now that Whirlpool actually going to split him off from the rest of his team, but he simply walks through it. He's not afraid. It's only a little bit of tick damage against him. And Fnatic just trying to force Dignitas into a fight once again.
I like the pillar from maniaK as well. You're going to zone us out with the Whirlpool. We're going to zone you out with another slow, just preventing the enemy from really collapsing too hard onto BigManTingz. maniaK helping out his support.
And Fnatic, they've only lost one engagement. That was the iRens triple kill. You know, a couple members here or there from the team fights, and that's someone that they really need to target out. If I'm Fnatic, I'm looking at probably BigManTingz to focus on forcing iRens out of the fight. Even if you burn Khepri ult, right? Even if it's, you know, he's going to get saved by Khepri ult, just make sure he's in that dangerous position.
As you said, iRens and Shadow are really the only damage dealers here. FrostiaK's here to set up for the team. And you see the escape coming out from Fnatic on the backside. Double bounce up from the support on Fnatic, but no follow-up damage. Zero's now half HP, still up in the front, but Dignitas have put out a lot more damage than they've taken. Successful defense, and now Fnatic on the retreat. Dignitas giving chase.
This is a win for Dig right now, and the root actually going to find nulisa as well. She's trying to get away, forced to Sanctuary, and here comes the double tap. FrostiaK with the combination of ShadowNightmare locks him down, but Suntouch here in a little bit of trouble. Jifffy against the wall, and he jumps away, and now it seems like Dignitas, they're just going to find the one kill and then just force Fnatic out again. They could be looking for this tier 1 on right, and I think they are.
Yeah, problem for Fnatic there in the team fight, just the execution. BigManTingz finds 2 people with the knockup, but there just wasn't, whether it was a Jifffy ultimate that wasn't used or anybody just paying attention, not going to happen. No kills. Instead, Dignitas find the kill onto the mid laner and take out the tier 1 in response.
FrostiaK here in a little bit of trouble. He will be able to hammer away. Jifffy has speed buff, but not going to keep up the chase right now. And Dignitas, they've been answering back quite nicely. And you can see Suntouch actually conceding, helping out his team there, wanted to get a ton of solo farm, try and catch up in levels, because he was, I believe, level 13 at the start of that engagement. Wow. And this deep into the game, needs to find as much gold as possible here.
Yeah, just needs to gold in the levels, and maniaK going to get it the easy way by taking out FrostiaK.
That's a little bit surprising, though. I can understand Suntouch going to get farm, but I mean, if that's the call so he can catch back up, Dignitas needs to not put themselves anywhere that they could potentially be caught out, which is what just happened there by FrostiaK.
And Fnatic have a good comp when it comes to picking people off, right? Whether it's nulisa dropping the portal to stop somebody, Jifffy with a good pull by himself, or BigManTingz with a knockup, you can isolate a player and burst him down very quick. Fnatic does just that to the tower. Tier 2 going down, so that's 1,500 in the pockets of Fnatic. They're leading by 10 grand, and they're looking for the Fire Giant.
They need to be careful here. They possibly burst it. Suntouch is just being let in. Zero's now on zoning duty, and it looks like Fnatic, they were trying to bait the fight. BigManTingz jumps forward. The target is Suntouch, and a beautiful pillar by maniaKK.
No Impale to follow up because the basics are good enough. Jifffy and maniaKK combined. There's the ultimate from nulisa to hit 1. Jumping forward is maniaKK and the rest of Fnatic. Turning around, finds Poseidon, but the Kraken comes out, and not enough damage. Jifffy takes 1 out. Everybody on through the portal, staying aggressive here. And maniaKK has had a fantastic game, but it's going to end here for the moment as FrostiaK takes him out for kill number 8 on Dig.
And Fnatic there finding a few kills, but don't get the Fire Giant. Overall, a small win for them here, but they can't do FG in this position. Zyrhoes is poked out, and nulisa has taken a little bit of damage as well, and they're still down their Hunter maniaKK, so they're just going to back off. And overall, I would say that's a win for Dignitas because they delay the Fire Giant on Fnatic. They get a return kill. They only lose an extra 1 person in return, and if Suntouch, you know, maybe had ulted a little bit sooner, it would have been better for them.
Dignitas have just been winning these defensive sets. When it comes to these fights in the jungle, Fnatic are winning. When it comes to these fights outside of that one that you mentioned with iRens getting the triple kill, Fnatic are winning. They're winning the pickoffs, they're winning the objectives, looking at the gold here again. But these defensive sets under a tower or preventing the Phoenix drive, Dignitas are eking it out. What's the difference here with Dignitas defending under their structure versus just taking a fight?
It's in a lot of situations, it's easier to defend than it is to be aggressive because you have, and a lot of times you have kind of safe spaces, whether it's your towers or your Phoenix that you could fall back to, that, you know, Fnatic members, they could chase you into it, but it's much more dangerous for them. They also have the Khepri, right? So Dignitas have this damage reduction. If they're going aggressive, it's much harder for Suntouch to line that up. But if the aggression's coming out from Fnatic, all right, BigManTingz bounces someone, all right, let me send out Rising Dawn. Now they're taking reduced damage. Also probably procs the penetration onto BigManTingz or someone else, so now he's taking more damage.
So just Suntouch, a lot of tools. Really deal with all the nonsense that Fnatic's throwing at the wall. But Fnatic certainly is throwing a lot of nonsense at the wall. 14 kills in total. FrostiaK going to try and catch one out, but immediately dashes away. Now with that dash down, Fnatic grouping up. Going to take one more look at the Fire Giant. maniaKK starts it up. Suntouch wants his nose in it.
And this is good for Fnatic. They recognize that Thor ult is down, which is the scariest thing they have to worry about. BigManTingz actually taking a good amount of poke there. Zero's going to be off the mark, just zoning for now, forcing out Dignitas while the rest of his team circles in behind him. Dodo going to get portaled, and this spells trouble.
And there's the big bounce. Not going to find the knockup, unfortunately, is BigManTingz, and he's stuck in the Suns. Ren's doing a lot of damage to him, combining with Shadow, but BigManTingz still going to find a way out.
And FrostiaK, just look at him, just hiding around the corner, trying to pick off Tings, and just a beautiful engagement coming out from Dignitas. They don't commit too far. The second someone from Fnatic walks up, they all go back, and they just poke out that one player who's in the front. It was BigManTingz for the most part there, and you can see Fnatic, they're forced to reset once again. The longer this game goes, the better it is for Dig. Right now, they're down about 10,000, but most players are getting close to full build.
And taking a look at some of the players on Fnatic, they're not exactly the latest of late-game characters. Anhur, of course, right? And nulisa, she's building into the utility build, which has worked out fantastically, I think, actually, for Fnatic, but certainly not a huge part of the damage herself.
No, and you could see FrostiaK just forcing Jifffy away. Fnatic not going to be in position. No, actually, Jifffy, caught out in the jungle, needs to escape.
By himself, though, and this could actually be a big turnaround. The pillar comes out from maniaKK, and that's a big stop, and Jifffy takes out Suntouch with a good pull. maniaKK gets the last hit.
Oh, just sidestepped by iRens there. Almost got sniped out. Still in a lot of trouble, though. Zyrhoes has no care. Dives under the tier 2. The Kraken comes out, but most of the damage is immune. And FrostiaK likely to fall as well. Can't even teleport to his hammer in time. ShadowNightmare going to pop his Sanctuary, trying to stay alive. But, I mean, Fnatic, they're just chipping away at these players one at a time. All the players are low, but none of them have fallen.
maniaKK so low, and he's just still here. TheDarkDodo trying to find the kill onto him, but everybody piling up on top. Zyrhoes winds up with the double kill. The whole team winds up with a deicide, and they get a tier 2 going right for a Phoenix.
This could be game, honestly. Suntouch up in 9 seconds. Everyone on Fnatic has been poked out. All of their health bars are at yellow. No one's at red, though. They could just want to end this now here. No one else but Suntouch up for another 20 seconds, and I don't see how the Khepri's going to be able to stop this.
It's a rough call. You mentioned how low the players are with no minions. The Titan's going to do a lot of damage. One grab, and that's going to be trouble for BigManTingz, but he's going to get out. Yeah, no win just yet. Fnatic have to go slink back.
I'm pretty confident that Fnatic could have won that. All they had to do was ignore the Khepri. He doesn't do enough damage to kill anyone at all here. Right. The lazy back's almost caught out by Suntouch, but he'll take a trip back to the base. The thing they're worried about is potentially getting the Titan to very low and then having Rin spawn, but they'll play it safe. They still have a comfortable lead. No reason to just risk it.
Yeah, you know what? I would have liked to roll the dice there as well.
I probably would have went for it.
With all the
like 10 seconds on Rins and you have 5 players available.
The reason I say roll the dice is because of all the structures Fnatic have up. If it's just Phoenixes or less, I don't think you make that call. But with everything that Dignitas have to go through, let's say worst case scenario, you team wipe, Dig can't win the game.
No,
so just go for it. I like it. Fnatic playing it safe though. Got to respect that. Want to win it the old-fashioned way. So they're going to go ahead and farm up
Wait,
just
what's
a
the
little
old-fashioned way? Because currently you kill the Titan.
Slow and steady.
So
slow and steady. Slow and steady.
Hey, man, you asked me to bet on a turtle and a hare, and I'm taking the hare every single time in that race.
Well, of course, he's cuter. Actually, turtles.
Turtles are pretty cute.
Turtles are pretty sweet. We had a turtle once.
We did. The
Named him
esports
Kerma.
turtle.
We named him Kerma.
Fire Giant started up by Fnatic here. Dignitas trying to get in. FrostiaK does have his ult, and he's probably going to be looking to come crashing down on Fnatic. Fire Giant very low, 600.
Easy.
And they pick it up, and Dignitas can't make their way in, and now Dignitas is
Split.
separated. Look at this, Suntouch, he's isolated, and Fnatic know it.
Oh, and the sprint is popped. The dash is good, but not good enough. There's one from Zyrhoes. There's a big hit from nulisa, and a couple of bounces and knockups from the rest of the team, and the Khepri ult's going to be triggered. Not much out of the middle laner.
The Kraken just tickles
Yeah.
Fnatic now, and they're separated once again. Fire Minion starting to rain down this middle lane. There is a tier 2 over the left-hand side, but I don't think Fnatic want to wait. They're going to be looking for the Phoenix that is exposed. Suntouch dead,
Bounce.
and BigManTingz, the 2-man bounce.
And nulisa's looking for the big burst, finds one, half HP on her target. maniaK gets a kill as well. Phoenix going to be aggressed on, and it's going to be toasted. Dignitas now have one Phoenix remaining. It's behind a tower. Fnatic don't look too concerned with it.
Against 3, it's a little bit risky, especially considering Rens is up. He is the one player you have to worry about, and they're going to be looking for the final tower and the final Phoenix. FrostiaK up in 36. Suntouch will be alive in 10 seconds, but doesn't have his ult just yet.
Fnatic pretty concerned with this tower on the left-hand side. We're going to go ahead and take it out. Keep on going down the left lane. Only one Phoenix remains. Fnatic 21 kills on the scoreboard. They're above by 20,000 gold. This team has looked really rough in the middle, in the beginning, well, the entire damn split. But this, I'm kind of liking what I see out of these guys today, Kid.
I'm liking maniaKK in the Hunter
Yeah,
role.
yeah.
I don't know, like, maybe it's just this Anhur, maybe it's how things are working here. Kraken's going to come out from ShadowNightmare, he's by himself, Zyrhoes knows it, and he's going to find him in Eagles Rally. The chase is coming through as well, but Fnatic, they're going to be forced out. They've taken a little bit too much poke, and now Dignitas have all 5 members up. FrostiaK off the mark on the ult. Everyone was just out of range. Meditation coming through as well, trying to keep up the chase. Dig, they're going to find a stun,
Nice.
but BigManTingz from behind.
Beautiful play by the spicy BMT, and the turnaround is good for Fnatic. nulisa picks up one. Suntouch chased out. Ultimate is on. maniaKK looking for the kill, and ShadowNightmare will stop him, but FrostiaK on the backside takes out Janus. Trouble for the Hunter.
This is good for Dig right now. BigManTingz does find FrostiaK, but maniaKK doesn't fall. ShadowNightmare trying to chase him down here, and Dodo goes the wrong way over to the right-hand side. The pillar is good, and maniaKK finds a kill again.
maniaKK.
All right, maniaKK.
I mean, this guy, he's got 3 kills, 3 deaths, double-digit kills, double kills going on left and right. 12, 3, and 8 for the Portuguese powerhouse. And Fnatic with this role swap looking like a new team with new breath and new life. And the old Titan's going to fall here. Halfway done already. maniaKK jumps up, tries to find the kill on Shadow, but takes the win instead. 25 kills in total.
You got to go out in style. It's the 180 on her jump, going for the kill, but the game ended a little bit too soon. He should have told his team to back off the Titan there.
That was the Fnatic that I think a lot of players, a lot of fans, and a lot of, well, members of Fnatic kind of wanted to see a couple of weeks ago. Loving maniaKK in that Hunter role.
Yeah,
Loving it.
even Zyrhoes in the soul. I don't know how permanent this is, or if they're experimenting, or it's like, all right, we're probably going to get relegated or go into relegations anyway. But looking much more comfortable. Jifffy as well played great smite early on, putting so much focus on Rens, and you saw the potential that Rens had there in that one fight that Dig won near the middle lane, where he got the triple kill, doing the majority of the damage, but he just wasn't able to translate that because of how much of a massive lead Fnatic had already gained.
For me, it was the comfort. I think everybody just looked a little bit more comfortable playing the game than we've seen in a while. maniaKK taking those fights against, hey, it's my first time in this role. You're a seasoned veteran, but I'm still going to fight you in the face. nulisa showing up in her first SPL in her SPL debut and really doing what a Janus needs to do, providing the transportation, even finding a couple of kills. This Fnatic